Okay, if I can have everyone's attention, if I ask you to please be seated, we'll get on with the meal to begin the evening. Okay, instead of picking the order of who gets to eat first, of course, the head table will go first, and then I had someone draw the order of tables tonight. I didn't do it tonight. I had someone draw it for me. So after the head table, table number 2, which is this table right here, will go first, followed by table number 3, which is this one, followed by table number 4. And sorry, window folks, but you guys will eat for it. There'll be 4 serving lines, and we've got several people here, but it always goes real fast. So head table, let's go ahead and get your plates, followed by 1, 2, 3, and 4. Oh, whoa! Before we do that, though, Nicole Rutler, would you come up and give her invocation for us? We certainly don't want to forget that. Oh, I forgot you.
Okay, may we all bow our heads and pray. Dear Lord, I want to thank you for our meal today and the hands who prepared it. Thank you for blessing our school with caring coaches, hardworking athletes, and supportive parents. Our successes this fall are because of your graceful and watchful eye. Please guide us and let us have an excellent winter sports season as well. In your name we pray. Amen.
Okay, thanks, Nicole. Nicole's one fine young lady. I got her in my office today to ask her if she would do the invocation. She came and sat down in my office, and I told her to close the door, and usually when that happens, somebody's in trouble. And I asked her, I said, Nicole, you worried about what I got you in here for? And so she must be living one clean life, because very straight face. She said no. So anyways, thank you, Nicole. Okay, let's eat. Okay, if I could ask everyone to be seated. I believe everyone's finished eating now. We'll get on with the program. Okay, I'd like to welcome everyone to the first half of our fall sports banquet. A few years ago, due to facilities and just being able to find some way to have the meal as such or whatever. Many years ago we used to have it out the Elks, and it got to be somewhat of a marathon night because, you know, right now if you kind of double the size of the folks, if we had the football and cheerleaders in here, we'd have double the people, and of course double the amount of time you spend tonight. So we discussed it, and rather than move it out there, and of course the cooks out the Elks all retired and moved on, so there was a question of finding someone to cook the meals. So we elected to start holding the fall banquets here at St. Genevieve High School and splitting them up pretty well to where you go half and half as far as people go. So basically that's how we've come to have a separate football cheerleader and for the volleyball, cross country, and softball players. Anyways, like I said, I'd like to welcome you tonight. I'd like to introduce our head table. A lot of times softball folks don't know who the volleyball coaches are, or the volleyball coaches don't know who the softball coaches are, or no one knows who the cross country coaches is or whatever. So I'd like to introduce our head table tonight. Starting over to my left, Coach Jett. Over the blue shirt there is the head girls and boys cross country coach. Sitting next to him in the maroon shirt, that's Coach Skip Waller, the head softball coach. And next to him is Dennis Monk Kreitler, who's his assistant. Over here in another maroon shirt, I guess maroon was the choice of color tonight. Called each other. Coach Drum, head coach of the volleyball girls, and sitting next to him is, in the maroon hair, is Crystal Kester, the assistant girls volleyball coach, and a freshman volleyball coach, Chad Wiseman, on the end. Anyhow, we've got a nice problem tonight, something we still try to remedy, but unfortunately, due to a holiday being thrown in a week that we experienced, the softball and volleyball trophies, we will still announce the winners as most valuable players and Honey Hunter Awards and things like this, but the girls' trophies and medals have not come in yet. I say that's a nice problem to have, reason being basically because both volleyball and cross country at state this past weekend did not know who those recipients would be. So due to the holiday and the place where we get our medals, they're closed on Monday, and yesterday being a holiday, we were unable to get them done today. So when the girls come up, you won't get your plaques or medals. I apologize for that, but you will still nonetheless be recognized. Now softball is the first sport that kicks off the fall season. They start a lot earlier than any of the other fall sports, so in starting earlier, they get done earlier. So we've got the softball awards are here tonight, so the girls will get those. But like I said, we'll still recognize the gals for the recipients of those awards. I also like to thank Judy and her staff, Judy Scher and her lunch staff. Thank them for a wonderful meal again. I know they always do a fantastic job, so if you would, please give them a hand. And also like to thank the sports boosters who fund the thing, which most of you folks are members of the All Sports Boosters, and if not, I encourage you to join. But they fund the meal along with the medals and the plaques that the kids receive. Anyway, moving on, first off tonight, we'll talk about softball. Coach Mike Weiler will recognize his players from this past fall and their accomplishments. Get a hold of it, there's no.
Okay. Yes, we do get started early. We get finished earlier. We're considered to have a short season. We played 24 games in 6 weeks. It's supposed to be short, but it kind of runs together, as the girls could attest to that. I'd like to thank, first of all the parents who really helped me out this year. We hosted the conference tournament. It was a success, except for the storms that rode in the first night. We made it through it. Mr. Haney, thank you also. He was there. And Mr. Crowther, we really appreciate it. We couldn't have pulled it off. Coach Stoser, it was kind of neat not to have to get on a bus a couple extra times. And again, we really enjoyed it. Also like to thank my first-year assistant, Dennis Kreitler. It was really good working with him. He knows a lot about athletics. He does a good job with the kids, and you know, I think he's going to be coaching a lot down the road, and he's going to do an awfully good job of it. This is probably the most difficult speech I've ever had to give. Why is that? Well, it shouldn't be. I've done this many times. I don't know for sure how many times. I sit down and I try to count, and my banquets, it's between 40 and 50. Not knowing for sure until late this afternoon what order I would be going in, not knowing who I'd have to follow with all the state accolades. I thought, you know, it's going to be tough. You know, I kind of feel good about getting to go first. But then I remembered the story of a couple of athletes, Michael Singletary and Kyle Woods. Michael Singletary, hopefully a lot of you have heard of him, and Kyle Woods both played football for the University of Baylor years and years ago. Michael Singletary, very successful. Kyle Woods, very successful. Michael Singletary, when he went out for football his freshman year, he weighed 95 pounds. He was cut from the team. He reset his goal. He was going to come out his sophomore year, and his goal was to get a uniform. He did. He came out, he got his uniform, but he didn't get to play. So he reset his goals again for his third year, his junior year of high school. He was going to get to play. He was going to do whatever he could to play. Well, he did. He went on and played a little bit his junior year. He played a lot his senior year. He played enough to get a scholarship to the University of Baylor. He went on to become an All-American middle linebacker for Chicago Bears, and recently he is a coach of the San Francisco 49ers. Kyle Wood, another Baylor football player. He was paralyzed during a game, and was told he couldn't walk. Baylor has been an up-and-down team, and they were up and down back in the day, and he was told again that he wouldn't be able to walk. But come January 1st, Baylor found himself in a bowl game, and he worked real hard to put himself into position. And this was a surprise to Grant Taft, who happened to be his coach, and also his family, but he made up his mind he was going to walk that day. And he did. He took 3 steps. And that was 2 very, very good success stories. And they're very different success stories. Another success story I'd like to share with, and this one is very close to home. I don't know if anybody in here, maybe you have, he's a familiar face in the Mineral area, Roy Henson. He's been in a wheelchair. He's got a muscle degenerating disease. He's been in a wheelchair all his life. You see him a lot at the games in the conference, Park Hills. He's there almost every time we play Park Hills during the summer. He shows up. He's in his wheelchair. He'll motor around, and he'll talk to anybody. Anyway, this past year, on a Friday night at a Park Hills football game, Roy got out of his his wheelchair and walked 35 yards on the football field. The crowd was cheering. He'd never walked before. Nobody had ever seen him walk. He fought the full 35 yards. Again, I think that's just a great success story, considering, again, he'd spent his entire life in a wheelchair. So I think what I'm trying to say is success is different to each of us. It's how you perceive it. I remember one of my very first coaching jobs. It was my first coaching job, first teaching job. I looked at the football schedule. I was a football coach. There were 10 games on it, and you look up and down that schedule. All coaches do it. You look at the schedule. You know, we got a chance to win this game, this game, this game. Well, I looked at that schedule, and there's not one game on there that we were going to win. It just wasn't going to happen. Anyway, we got lucky. We were 0-9, and we got lucky the last game of the year. We ended up winning by 1 touchdown. You know, it was kind of neat for the kids. It was so neat. It was early 1980s. VCRs were kind of new, and this was on video. I walked through the commons of the school 2 days in a row, and there was a bunch of kids sitting in front of the VCR, and they were watching the winning touchdown. You know, I walked through their second day, and they were doing it again. You know, you would have thought that they'd won the state championship. You know, it was kind of neat. Unfortunately for them, that school has never been in the playoffs. For 35 years, they've been there. They've never made the football playoffs. Currently, they're in the middle of the longest losing streak in the state of Missouri. I'm kind of glad I left there 20-something years ago. And another success story I like to share with you. I coached in another school that had been to the state championship 6 years in a row. They'd won the previous 5. But they lost on this particular day by 1 touchdown. After the game in the locker room, you walked in there and you'd never seen so many tears before in your life. You could see it on their faces. They just got second place in state, and they did not see themselves as having a successful year. To be honest with you, that team had no business in that game. And to me, you know, that's a great success story. And I don't think any of them know it to this day. So again, success is how you see it. Do the cross-country runners feel like that they were not successful because they finished 17th to 25th? I don't think so. I don't think Coach Jett would let them. I think the volleyball players, would they feel like they weren't successful because they got 4th place in state? I would hope not. I don't think Coach Drum would allow that to happen either. I don't think it would happen. Now, does the softball team feel like they were not successful for winning only 8 games? I hope not. Looking at our schedule, like us coaches always do at the beginning of the game, we could have been 0 for 08. You know, we won a game, our first game of the year, 9-6, and then we ended up losing like 8 in a row. Our wins were by scores of like 9-7, 4-2, 2-1. You know, they were all close wins, except that one day in Farmington where we happened to win 17-3. That was kind of good. I think anytime you beat Farmington, it feels real good. We beat Park Hills twice. They were picked by many to battle North County for the top spot in the conference. We beat Fredericktown twice, and this was after they beat us the first time we played. We beat St. Pius by a score of 2-1, and that was kind of neat because there was a college coach there watching the pitcher for the opposing team. We beat St. Vincent's for the first time in school history. And of course, we beat Farmington 17-3. And it had been a long time since we'd beat Farmington. Now the players I'm about ready to introduce, they worked harder than any team I've ever had the first 2 weeks of the season. And I'd like to introduce those to you right now. I'm going to introduce them to you in numerical order. Number 4, Natalie Diesel. Natalie was an outfielder. She's a sophomore. She was also our designated player. For those of you familiar with Major League Baseball, it's like a DH, but only it's a DP. Brianne Bonnert. Brianne, I don't think is here, but she was an outfielder. She wore number 6 for us. She's an outfielder. She also is a pitcher. She picked up the win in the St. Vincent's game. She's a junior. Bailey Dickens. Bailey played infielder. She also became a courtesy runner for us as the season went on, and really took to the game real well. Bailey wears number 7, and she's a sophomore. Alicia Viox, number 8. Alicia's our shortstop. She's a junior. Kayla Geck. Kayla wears number 9. She played outfield. She was also our courtesy runner, a very good courtesy runner. I told her 4 or 5 times this year how valuable she was as a runner. She probably led the team in runs scored too. She's a junior. Peyton Tripp. Peyton was a catcher and an outfielder. She wore number 11, and she's a sophomore. Lauren Kemper. Lauren's an outfielder. She wore number 12. She's a sophomore also. We have an awful lot of underclassmen. Becky Herman. Becky Herman wears number 13. She's a sophomore. She played third base. We ended up moving her to first base. She got real comfortable there. Nicole Estepari, number 14. Nicole was an infielder, primarily played first base, and she's a sophomore. Jessica Schmidt, number 22. Jessica's an outfielder. She's a freshman. Number 25, Taylor McMillian. She started off in the infield, ended up playing the outfield, made one of the best catches I ever saw in a district. She's a freshman, also our leadoff hitter. Jennifer Martin, number 26. Jennifer played outfield for us, and she's a sophomore. Lindsay Bergert, number 28. Lindsay started off the season at first base. We flip-flopped her and Becky. It was Lindsay's idea. It did a good job of benefiting the team too, making that switch. She ended up playing third base, and she's a senior. Our other senior is number 29, Brittany Bosler. Brittany, our catcher. Number 33 is a junior, Tish Hendricks. She's our pitcher. She picked up all the wins except the one that Brianne got against St. Vincent's. And number 52 is Brittany Uding. Brittany Uding played second base, and she's a junior. Okay, what I'd like to do now is give the awards to 4 very before I do that, I'd like to recognize it's on the program, but also like to make note of it that we had more people selected postseason honors this year than we've ever had before. We had 4 people selected. Tish Hendricks was picked for second team all-conference as a pitcher. Alicia Viox was picked second team all-conference also. And Lindsey Bergert made first team all-conference, and Taylor McMillian made all-team first district. The awards I'd like to give. These were voted on by the players, and I think they did an awfully good job. I'd like to see everybody get an award. Numerous votes were given to these. The first one, most improved player. We had 5 different players get votes for this, and this one went to a sophomore, and it was picked by her teammates, Jennifer Martin. The next award I'd like to give is for the dirty uniform, and I think this player probably got this award during the Park Hills game. The first Park Hills game, we won that game 9-7 in extra innings, and she was dirty. She was dirty, and she was bruised up, and she was scratched up, and she played real hard that game, and I think the girls remembered that when they went to vote, and that is Alicia Viox. The next award goes to our most valuable hitter, and this is the person on offense who scored the most runs and drove in the most runs. You add them together, you get the most valuable hitter, most productive offensive player, runs scored and RBIs. This player scored 10 runs. She drove in 14 runs, 24 total, and Lindsey Bergert. And the most valuable player, again, voted on by the players, and she received half the votes. And she probably didn't hit as well as she would have liked. But she did an outstanding job defensively. She had one of the highest fielding averages I've ever been associated with. I've been doing baseball or softball an awfully long time, and if you are successful on 973 out of 1,000 chances, if you have a 973 fielding average, that's pretty good. Brittany Bosler. I might add that 20 of those, she had 20 assists from a catcher. That means people were trying to steal bases on her, and she threw them out. She did a really good job with that. As I was saying before I brought all the girls up here, this team worked harder than probably any team I've ever had the first 2 weeks of practice, and then the game started. As I start off saying, we played 24 games in 6 weeks. That's an average of 4 games a week. That's a lot of games. We were making an average of 2 bus trips a week, and that kind of wears on you. Again, we worked harder, they worked harder, and then the game started. And practices were precious. They were hard to come by. We'd be playing games, and you play one stretch. We got on a bus Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. We got on again Saturday. What is that, 5 days in a row? We came back Monday, and I think we played another Monday and Tuesday, and we finally got to practice. And we had a lot to work on, and you just can't do it. That's the nature of the sport. And it's difficult to cram as much as you need to work on. We try to get as ready as we can those first 10 days, and then we do what we can. We have more games than we have practices once our season starts. We got better as the season went on. We won 8 ball games, but 7 of those came in the last half of the season. Early in the year, we were getting up 5-0, and we couldn't hold the lead. And we were putting the emphasis on the offense, swinging the bat, and we were doing a pretty good job of it. But unfortunately, it's like plugging a dam. You get a leak one place, and you plug it up, and it starts leaking somewhere else. And with us, it was defense. Finally, we got that worked out, and did real well. For example, St. Pius, first 3 hitters got hits. They were up 1-0, but kind of the theme for the end of the year was we fought to the end. We came back and won that game 2-1 after their first 3 hitters got hits and they scored a run. The district game with Kennett, a team that had twice as many wins as they had losses, and they ended up getting second place to Notre Dame in our district. We played an awfully good game with them the first 3 innings. The bottom of the 4th, they scored 8 runs. 10-0 in 5 innings, you're done, and I was really proud of the way the girls responded that day. District game, we're down 8-0. They didn't score any more. We got 4 in the 5th, 1 in the 6th, 1 in the 7th. We had the tying run at the plate. It was an awfully good team, and we were there to the end. They battled really hard the end of the year. And again, for that, I'm proud of them. I'm really glad. I'm really happy for them, the way they stepped up and played as hard as they possibly could at the end of the year. I had fun this year. It's an awfully great group of girls to be around. And this group, I'm going to miss the 2 seniors. They're going to be very difficult to replace. But I think and I feel next year we'll be more successful than this year if we work hard and get a little lucky. Thanks.
Okay, we'll move on to the volleyball portion of the evening recognitions. Coach Wiseman will introduce his freshman team, and Coach Kester will introduce the junior varsity, and Coach Drum will speak on behalf of the varsity and the entire volleyball program. So, Coach Wiseman, here you go.
Thank you, Coach Stolzer. Well, I'm new to the area, new to teaching, new to coaching, and new to volleyball. Lot to learn in a little bit of time. But I could not ask for a better time, better experiences, or a better set of girls. Started out the year not knowing a lot about the sport. Coach Drum, Coach Kester, both of them very good to me, took me under their wing, taught me what they knew. Janet Schwint helped me out a lot, got me some information to read, came and helped me with some of my practices. I appreciate that a lot, Janet. Thank you. We didn't have an awesome record, 4-8, but we did, in my mind, we were extremely successful. I'm not really the sentimental type, as most of my girls will tell you. I like things short and sweet, get in, get it done, get out. So I'll go ahead and introduce my girls. Alyssa Bosler, Candace Burr, Allie Ford, 0 for 3. Allison Gettinger, Hannah Klein, Jasmine King, Kristen Meyer, Haley Reed, Sarah Tarana. And can I get Jessica LaRose to come up too? As I said, it's been a wonderful experience. We had a few injuries. You'll get yours from. Candace Bird, who we were hoping to play with us a lot, decided to break her kneecap the day of the Gatorade game. So we didn't have her all season. We also had some people with ankle injuries. Someone was out sick for an entire week. We had to place people who don't ever set in the setter's position. Thank you, Haley. Good job. They worked hard, they played hard, we came together as a team, and when we did, we were extremely successful. That's when we got our wins. Even when we weren't coming out with a win, we still came together and played hard. And I told them all season, we're gonna win or lose, it doesn't matter, but we're gonna do it as a team. And they did that. We had a lot of fun. It was a great experience for me. I learned a lot, they taught me a lot, and hopefully we formed a good base for success in the future. Thanks, ladies.
Okay, well, the reason he went quick was because I'm an English teacher, I like to write, and I really like to talk. So, he had to cut his a little short. I'm going to go ahead and bring the girls up and kind of say a little bit about them first. I'll start with Jessica LaRose. Oh, I got a lot to say. Hold on. You'll want to hold your applause after I get done. Jessica was probably my most spirited player. She played the back row for us a lot, and she was our backup setter. She was most definitely our loudest on the bench and our biggest cheerleader. Whether she was on the floor, whether she was on the bench, you knew where Jessica was. She was a very hard worker. If I told her to go do a handstand in the middle of the floor and it meant us winning the game, she would go and do it in a heartbeat. It doesn't matter, hands down. I really look forward to working with her again next year, and she's going to become an incredible player in the future. Our next freshman is Abby Meyer. All right, well, Abby, if there is an award out to the girl with the most bruises, we'd probably go to Abby. She's kind of proud of them, too. If you ask her about the one on her hip, she'll probably show you later. Oh, it's gone. All right, she heals quickly. I told the girls at the beginning of the year that no matter what you go after, every single ball, whether it means you're hitting the floor or whatever it takes, she took that seriously, and she went after every ball. May not have been very elegant, may have been more belly flop style, but she got to it, and she got the ball eventually up somehow. She was also one of our middle hitters and got a lot of kills for us this year. Ellie Cornack, our next freshman. Ellie was our big middle, and as she walks up here, she's not real big, but she's led our team in kills and in blocks. She's an incredible player. She works hard in the weight room, especially looking in the mirror. She works hard on the floor as well. She likes to check out her guns. Our next freshman is Sarah Stiegel. Sarah was a setter for us. She was our ace server. I don't know what it was about her serve. It wasn't hard, it wasn't powerful, but she could rank up 6, 7, 8 points in just one set. It was just unstoppable. We won games because of her serve. I know in the future Coach Drum's really looking forward to having her. He used her already in key tournament games that he really enjoyed having her serving. All right, our sophomores. Our first sophomore I have is Emily Schwint. Emily was a major leader for the JV team. She was our setter. She was also one of my captains. She had the joy of playing both varsity and JV, and I know she hated that she couldn't practice with us all the time, but when it came to game time, she was ready to go. She would do absolutely anything for the team to help us win. So she's going to be an incredible player in the future, too. Our next sophomore is Chelsea Geck. Chelsea was our defensive specialist this year. Don't stand in front of me. I'm already really short, guys. thanks. All right, she was our defensive specialist. She has the best attitude I've ever seen. She is positive. If we're down by 10, she's the one's like, guys, we can do this. We can make this up. Come on, keep going, keep fighting, keep driving. And she was kind of the one that melded us all together. And I even told her, I was like, without your attitude, I don't know if we would have been as successful as we were this year. Our next sophomore, Kelsey Gilo. Kelsey was one of our outside hitters this year. She was an incredibly devoted player. All summer, she came to open gyms, she came to camps, she came to times when it was just varsity or just freshmen playing so she could work. I know if Coach Drum had an entire team of devotion like that, he'd have a championship team every single year. So she's an incredible player because of it. Next one is Cassandra LaRose. Cassandra was one of my most consistent players. She may not be overpowering at the net, but she got it over every time. I knew that if we set it to her, it would get over. And a lot of times in volleyball, that's all you can ask for, is just to get the ball over the net. She was also a huge supporter of not just her team, but the varsity. She drove out to Park Hill. She drove out to DeSoto. She even went up to state to support them. So that just kind of shows her devotion to the game and to her teammates. And our last one is Courtney Lip. I don't know if she's here tonight, but Courtney's a really hard worker too. She helped us out in the outside hit, and if some of the girls can even tell you, when she was on, and she had an incredible arm on her. Well, this is my team. Give her a round of applause now. We had a very successful season. We ended up being 13-7-1. I know if you ask them and you ask me, we probably very easily could have been 16-4 if it weren't for a few errors in the home stretch there. But as our competition level got harder and harder and it increased throughout the year, we started to kind of pull away. We would always come out guns a-blazing, fired up, but by that third set, we were kind of ammo's gone, and we were like, oh. And that was kind of our one thing we lacked. And I know that's one thing that they know that they want to improve on, and they can do that just by, hitting the weight room, Ellie. And of course, playing winter volleyball and conditioning and stuff. I know some of the girls got the opportunity to go to the Final Fours, both players and spectators, and they got to witness what it really takes to be a truly physically, mentally top team. Right now, these girls are a diamond in the rough. They still need some polishing. However, with a lot of hard work, determination, and perseverance, they too can polish themselves into a top-tier team. I'm trying to do this without crying. I've cried so many times this year already. They know. I've told these girls on so many occasions just how important they are to me and what they mean to me. And I'm proud of absolutely every single thing that they've ever done. There are days when I told them I'd come from the middle school, just bogged down middle schoolers, and I'd come into that gym and I'd see them and it was gone. And that's like, you guys are so lucky you have that. And it meant that to me too, just to come in and have everything gone. Nothing mattered. I look forward to seeing them and playing with them and coaching them every single day. As they already know, they will always be my team, my girls, my first team. And I could not have asked for a better group of girls to start my season or start my volleyball career off coaching with. So thank you, girls. Thank you. Okay, so now I have to hand over the mic to Coach Drum, and I have to razz him a little bit. So I'm really glad someone told me what time the banquet was tonight, because if it was up to Coach Drum, I'd probably still be at home, laying on the couch, chilling with my dog. A couple weeks ago, we were going to DeSoto for districts, and we played the first game. I think it was at 7. Bus left at 4:15. Okay, we won. Next game leaves play at 7. I'm like, oh, bus will leave at 4:15. Didn't hear anything from Coach Drum. Nobody said anything. Made sense. So, show up to school about 4 or 5, give or take, and I'm sitting in my car and I'm looking. Wow, where is everyone? They said about a minute or two, and I'm like, the bus left. There's no way. So I go into panic mode, and I have no idea how to get to DeSoto. Never been there except for on the bus. So I panicked, call his phone about 3, 4, 5 times. We all know Coach Drum doesn't answer his phone. It's just there for looks. So luckily I hitched a ride and I got there, and I'm coming down the stairs at the gym, and I'm a redhead, so I get kind of angry real easy. And I'm all mad, ready just to let him have it. And he's laughing. He's like, oh, you Nope, I sure didn't. Haven't missed a bus since, and he makes sure to tell me every time when the bus leaves now. So that's pretty good, seeing as how we're in Kansas City. On a more serious note, I have enjoyed my time with him. He's made my transition into coaching volleyball very, very easy. He's been patient with me most of the time, and I knew what was going on most of the time. And even though days I said I hated him, he knew I really didn't mean it. And I really do look forward to spending the next couple of years coaching with him. So here's to Coach Tim.
Thanks.
No problem.
By the way, she's not the first person I've left to find a way to a game, so. Okay. As most of you know, because you're mostly parents, we had an outstanding season this year. But before I start, I'd like to go ahead and thank the people who go into making the program successful, and there are a lot of them. So I'll try to go through this quickly. First of all, I'd like to thank the local media, KBDZ, the Sun-Times, and the Herald for all the coverage and things that they do for us. I'd like to thank the administration, Mr. Haney, Mr. Crowther, and of course Coach Stolzer, who has to do the bulk of the work for us. Mrs. Define students for singing the national anthem for us at home games. That's always something special. Regina McDaniel, Teresa Sedgwick, Mike McDaniel, and Janet Schwint, they were always there to run the clock and take care of the scores table and call lines for us. It's really nice when you walk into a gym, you see adults who know a little something about the game calling lines for you as opposed to some of the things you run into. So they did a great job. They were always there, and that helps a bunch. Mid-America Rehab, they helped during the season. Today, Donna Hook typed up some certificates for me. I'd like to thank her. The Booster Club, who puts on this banquet and does a great job. They also supplied drinks for us on our trip, and they just support us in all our activities. So a big thank you to them. To Country Mart and its employees for the lunches and the drinks that they donated for our trip to Kansas City. That was very appreciative. Coach Fisher and her volleyball girls, I'd like to thank them. They sent us some candy and balloons, and the kids liked the candy and left me with the balloons. So, of course, all the cheerleaders for their support all year long. And all you fans that were there, it really makes a difference when the house is loud and rocking and the kids get off on that and feed off of that. Makes a big difference for us. A couple of my ex-coaches were big help this year. Paul Taylor came in oftentimes in practice to help make the kids better. He worked hard. He'd leave wringing wet some days, so big thank you to him. And then Coach Hensley showed up in Kansas City to help with some of the supervision and stuff. All the moms that helped with the post-practice meals. Those were really motivating for us. I think it kept the kids together. It was a real bonding experience. I thank you mothers. Janet Schwint and Nancy Toome for all the times they had to put up with me because of the cameras and the pictures and stuff that I know very little about that they took care of me on and got all my DVDs made up. Big thanks goes to Melinda Shilley, who, without her, I don't know what I would have done the last 8 to 10 days. She kind of just more or less took my classes and kept the boys in line and allowed me to do all the things that I had to do to prepare for all the things that need to be prepared for. I thank her a bunch. And then, of course, my coaching staff, 2 rookies, one that never pays attention, misses the bus, and then the other one who's new to everything. And they both did a really good job this year. I really appreciate it, guys and gals. You were great help and very much a part of our success this year. And, of course, my wife. Family, she's back there. She's always supportive. She's been doing this long enough now. It's no big deal to her, but it's pretty tough to put up with an honorary coach who's not in a very good mood sometimes, but that didn't happen a whole lot this year, so she had a pretty easy year this year. And then finally, the parents and the kids that played for me, and the parents that took care of those kids that played for me. Without you guys, this wouldn't be possible, whether it's a 20-win season or a 2-win season. I've always had your support. I've always felt confident in your support. And I've always told people that, you know, if your kids go home at night and they sit at the kitchen table and they're not hearing their parents bash the coach and saying how stupid he is, and they're actually saying, you know, he might know what he's doing, pay attention, do what he tells you, it makes coaching a lot easier. And I feel like I got that support from you parents this year, and I really, really appreciate it, and I think your kids do too. So, with those thank yous out of the way, that took up most of my time because Coach Kester took up a big chunk of it, so we'll have to move along rather quickly here. As usual, we always start the season, or our preseason activities in July when we go to Farmington and Raleigh at the team camps. And they're kind of a bonding situation where we get to know the last year's seniors are gone, and you get to know your new group of kids, and you start putting them together and seeing different combinations and what works and what doesn't. And you kind of got the sense, even at Raleigh, that, you know, this might be a pretty good team. They were bonding pretty well. They seemed to get along pretty well, and everybody was seeming to have a good time. And then you go into practice, and that's 3 weeks, and I'm sure all coaches will tell you that that 3 weeks of preseason can be awfully tough because you're beating up on each other, you're not playing anybody. And we got through that pretty well. And then the season opened, and we lost to Crystal City, and that wasn't much fun. That was one of those ornery nights. Oh my, we're going to do this all year. And then we went to Notre Dame that Friday night, and we got beat again by Bishop DeBerg, who really wasn't very good, or we didn't really get beat. We split with them. And we went to the locker room, and rather than go home and take it out on my wife, I kind of chirped at them a little bit and barked at them a little bit. And the next day we went back down there, and lo and behold, we ran off a couple of ties and a couple of wins, and we walked out of there with a first place trophy. And that was early in the year, first weekend of the season, and we won the Notre Dame tournament. And at that point, you could kind of tell, you know, maybe we're going to be okay. And we kind of took off, played pretty steady throughout most of the season. We went to Perryville about 2 weeks later, and we took second place there. And we're still playing pretty well, still getting better every day, and was very encouraged by that. We, at that point, kept winning some games, and then the conference season started, and we beat Farmington here. And that was a long time coming for me and for the kids and for everybody involved in the volleyball program. We beat them, and we carried that throughout the rest of the season to win the conference, which was, the last time was, I don't know, 94, 96, somewhere a long time ago. We won the conference. We went to the conference tournament. We kind of stumbled around and didn't play very well, and I told the kids that night when we got beat for third place, that, you know, it's pretty much on me. I don't really like that conference tournament much. It's at a terrible time, and I didn't really prepare them very well for that tournament, so, you know, I didn't know what was going to happen after that because it looked like maybe we'd lost our momentum. Came back to practice that Friday, and we had some things we needed to take care of, and the seniors kind of took care of it for us. Great bunch of seniors. They really showed great leadership in that particular day. They showed outstanding leadership, pulled everything back together. And of course, the rest is history. We went on to win district, beat DeSoto in a real exciting district championship game. Then we went to sectional, and I guess my favorite game maybe of my whole career was when we played game 2 of Rosati Kane. We were down 20-12, and we ended up winning 31-29. I'm here to tell you folks, that doesn't happen in volleyball. You don't get down that much and win a game like that against a good team. And they just did. And they'd done that a lot during the course of the year. They had come from behind 4 or 5 times, but never against a team of that quality, and never with that kind of energy. Or you just, most of you were there, so you know what I'm talking about. It was a game I'll never forget, probably even if I get Alzheimer's. That'd be one thing I'll remember. So we won that one 31-21, or 29, and then we went on to beat Lutheran South to win our sectional and put us in the Final Four. There's just not many experiences like that if you're an athlete or a coach. You know, if you can make your Final Four, of course you can finish 3rd, 2nd, or 1st, which would be better, but we didn't. So we're going to settle with 4th. But it was a great run. It was a great year. I had a lot of fun. And I would just say one thing these kids did all year long, and they carried it into playoffs, even up to state, is they stayed very positive. And we had a motto. They wrote it down as one of their goals first at the Gatorade game that day, and that was to stick together no matter what. And they did that, and they sure proved what it can do when you do stick together as a bunch of kids or adults, and you work towards the same things. You can be very, very successful and make great things happen, and they did it this year. So my hats are off to them. And I'm not real big on bringing out individual names, so I'll just bring them up here. We'll give them their certificates, and we'll hold our applause to the end, and then you can clap and yahoo and all that stuff. Okay, first of all, I'd like to start with my manager, and she's by far, and I've had a lot of managers over the years, some good, some bad, some awful, but few have been as good as this one, and that's Mariah Mo Ritter. She was there almost every day. She put up with me, and that's saying a lot because I was even picking on her tonight, and she just walked away. She's kind of used to just walking away from Coach. I got to get away from that guy. So, okay, now for the team. These first two freshmen both get what we call a provisional letter, which means they get a varsity certificate. If they letter next year, they'll get their SG, 2 bars, and a volleyball to go with it. Ellie Kornak and Sarah Stiegel. Those are our freshmen that finished on the varsity squad. Sophomores Gwen Dallas, Kristen Faulkner, Laura Rhodes, Emily Schwint, and Anna Sedgwick. Juniors Tessa Brown and Liz Hook. Senior class, Holly Fox, Allison Gettinger, Lindsay Gray, Tisha Meyer, and Ricky Ritter. These are the gals that made up the varsity squad this year, the final 4 varsity squad this year. Sometimes I have to pinch myself to realize that that still really did happen, but it did. I sat there and watched it, and they were out there putting forth the effort and the sweat and the tears. They deserve a big, big round of applause. Before I let them go sit down, I would say this. They really did play well as a team. I don't know how many times this year I'd call a radio station or something. They go, well, who stood out for you tonight, or who was really your best player? And invariably, I always had to say, I can't tell you. They just play so well as a team. You know, we'd have 3, 4 kids with 4 or 5 kills. My 2 setters would be splitting the assists equally. 3 or 4 of them would score points serving. 2 or 3 of them would have stuff blocks. We just were a team, and that's a great thing. Thank you, ladies. Very quickly, you can stay up here and we'll get through this pretty quick, I hope. Very quickly, our record is 24-11-4. We won the Notre Dame tournament. We took 2nd in the Perryville tournament. We won the large school MAAA championship. We took 4th in the MAAA tournament. We then won the district tournament, 3A, and the sectional tournament, finished 4th in state. With that in mind, we had quite a few kids get postseason honors, and this is really a tribute to the kind of team that we had. It wasn't just 1 or 2 players. The MAAA all-conference team, we had 2 first-teamers, Tisha Meyer and Ricky Ritter, and 2 second-teamers, Allison Gettinger and Holly Fox. The all-district team, we had 3 first-teamers, Tisha Meyer, Allison Gettinger, Ricky Ritter, and the second-teamer, Holly Fox. The all-Southwest region, Southeast region team, first team Tisha Meyer, second team Ricky Ritter, and Allison Gettinger. And then we had 3 players that represented us on the all-state squad, 3A schools, First team was Tisha Meyer, second team was Ricky Ritter, and honorable mention was Allison Gettinger. So it's kind of easy to see while we were... some of the little certificates you got in your thing there, girls, Miss Hook made those for us today. I don't know when the state or if the state will send those out, but you've got something in there, and I think the state will send something out eventually. With that in mind, with all these kids getting those awards, it's easy to see how we could be as successful as we were this year. At this time, I'd like to go ahead and announce the plaque winners and the medal winners. You gals can sit down if you like, or you can stand if you like. I'll let that up to you. Our plaque winners, most valuable offensive player was Tisha Meyer. Most valuable defensive player was Ricky Ritter. The Honey Hunter Award, which is MVP award for the team, was Tisha Meyer. The Shatron Spirit Award, which is, of course, the most spirited gal on the team, was Kristen Faulkner. The medals that we give out, most kills with 237 was Tisha Meyer. Most stuffed blocks with 40 was Allison Gettinger. Most points with 174, Kristen Faulkner. Most assists with 339 was Kristen Faulkner. Tisha Meyer was right behind her with 338. Most digs, Ricky Ritter, 312. Most serve receptions, Ricky Ritter with 382. And she made those receptions at an 80.4% accuracy. And one other thing, we haven't given a medal out for this in the past, but it's quite a feat. I have one other student with over 100 serves that did not miss a serve all year, and that was Andrea Beezer several years ago. This year, Holly Fox did it. She was 301 for 301 serves. For those of you that would like to see some of the trophies, they are out there in the lobby as you leave in the trophy case out there. And before I let these gals go, I have one other request of them, and that's that you would turn your uniforms in as soon as possible to me. I'd like to thank everyone for being here. I'd particularly like to thank these gals and this senior class, which has been quite a class. I've been yelling at them, chirping at them, barking at them since they were freshmen, and it just all seemed to take place and fit this year. I think they bought into what I was selling, and that doesn't always happen, but it did this year, and hopefully they enjoyed it as much as I did. Thank you, seniors. And the rest.
Okay, we'll move on to cross country. We had another late arrival, Coach Toombs, who helps out Coach Jett quite a bit. And showed up here tonight, tonight, so I'd like to welcome here. And anyhow, right now, Coach Jett will be speaking on his cross country boys and girls.
Thank you. I'll try to be as relaxed as Denny was, but it's unlikely. I want to start with congratulations to all the fall sport athletes for their exciting and successful seasons. And I have quite a list of people to thank. We'll start in no particular order. Mid-America Rehab, they patch up the broken ones and somehow get them ready to compete week after week. I'd like to thank the Herald for their coverage. Nancy Toombs, she put on a pretty good pasta dinner. She does our highlight videos for the past seasons, and she also puts up with Coach Toombs, which is a job in itself, although I don't hate him. I'd like to thank Coach Warner. His daughter's running for us now in middle school, and he was like having a third coach. He was at a lot of the meets. He designed a course on his property that gave us an opportunity to go out and do a little training in a different area. I'd like to thank Mr. Haney, who makes it to most of our meets. Mr. Crowther, who was at the state meet. Apparently I didn't see him, but I heard he was there. He said he couldn't catch me. Mr. Stewart was there as well. I'd like to thank him for making the trek up there. Mr. and Mrs. Engelman made the trek. Mrs. Weiler was there. I'd like to thank the Pep Club for their care package that we took with us to the state meet. We always have quite a send-off as we drive out, headed for Jeff City or Columbia. The band was there. I'd like to thank them for that send-off. The senior volleyball girls came to our district meet, and I'd like to thank them for that. The sports boosters for the great meal that we had this evening, all that they do for athletics here at St. John. They provided us with all the drinks for the state weekend as well. Mrs. Newman prepared a care package for the girls, and I think they're still eating on it. I'd like to thank her. Mrs. Rosenquist, who allows the girls to shower in the coach's office in the girls' locker room, and she understands the early morning locker room use. I'd like to thank Mrs. Bauer for the state week treats. There might be a plate of cookies stashed someplace still in my room. I'd like to thank Mr. and Mrs. Rotler for helping transport some of the runners up to the state meet. I'd like to thank the parents for the pasta dinners every weekend. They traveled to all the meets. They made a number of signs for us and for tolerating the madness. We had one girl, Sam Brown, who came to all the meets as a manager. She helped out quite a bit doing some filming. Jordan Shilley, she was there for all the speed workouts. She made it to all the meets, and she really did a great job for us as a manager. I'd like to thank my wife for understanding all the time that I put into coaching and understanding the stress involved in a season of coaching. And ultimately, though, I'd like to thank the athletes for their hard work, their sacrifice, and their dedication. It's the best part of my day, working with these kids. I wasn't going to talk too much about our season. I think I'll give you a little synopsis of what cross country is instead. Sometimes when you hear announcements and kids are placed 17th or 19th or 25th or 40th, you need to imagine a long line of runners somewhere between 100 and 200, and they all start at the same time. And they all run over the same course, and there's no real advantage or disadvantage. It's probably the purest form of athletics. So if somebody places 25th out of 200, it's quite an accomplishment. Most of our meets, we compete against Class 4 schools. Usually there's 20 or more teams at these meets, and if you can place in the top 5, you've had a successful day. So, see, these are the kids that you see out on the roads before it gets light in the morning. And you see them out in the summer and pretty much all year round. It takes a lot of hard work and dedication, and you have to be a little bit different breed to fare well in this sport. And with that said, I'll start calling up the runners and talking a little bit about their season. Feel free to applaud them as they come up. I've only got 2 or 3 lines from most of them. We'll start with freshman Holly Shilley. Holly struggled a bit with an injury towards the end of the season, but she managed to run top 7 for us most of the season. She earned all conference honors. Don't get me going on this conference thing. Her personal best was a 21:55. Now, cross-country meet is 5,000 meters, which is 3.1 miles, so you can do the math there and see what kind of miles time she's running. She placed 12th at districts. Holly's got a lot of ability, and I look forward to her being an important member of the team in years to come. Sophomore, Ryan Overly. Ryan's one of our most dedicated runners. This season he was able to break the 18-minute barrier at 2 different meets. When I first started coaching cross country, if you could run a low 18, you were pretty well assured a trip to the state meet. Now you got to break 17, so we've come a long way in 12 years. Anyway, he was able to break the 18-minute barrier twice. I'm sure with continued dedication and work ethic, he'll soon be reaping more of the success that are attributed to both of those. He truly has a bright future. Sophomore Hannah Jagers. Hannah's another dedicated runner. She rarely misses a morning. Unfortunately, she suffered an injury early in the season, and it hampered her progress. However, I think that Hannah's learned a lot from the struggles, and she continues to demonstrate tremendous determination. She was in this morning for a run. She too has a bright future. Junior Lindsay Bauer. The last week of September, Lindsay started to believe in her ability. Her breakout race was the Hancock Invitational, once touted the largest meet in the state, where she placed 20th. She earned all conference and all district honors. She was our number 5 runner all season. At times, even after the last week of September, she lost faith in herself, but she was able to bounce back. Continued consistent training and dedication will foster a stronger belief in herself, and I look forward to her upcoming achievements. Junior Jennifer Bone. Jennifer had a pretty respectable season. She earned all conference honors, all district honors, all state honors. She placed 15th. Unfortunately, I've never known a girl who sweats as much as Jennifer. Maybe you should see a doctor. She is talented. She's one of the best in the state, though, and I really look forward to another season with her. She does, doesn't she? It's like a faucet. Junior Ashley Brewster. After struggling with injuries last season, Ashley demonstrated grit and integrity to make herself a big team contributor. She had a great summer of training, and she ran in the top 5 for us all season. I'll pause a little bit and tell you about the scoring in cross country. The top 5 runners score. You run 7 as a team. The 6 and 7 runners act as pushers to push other teams' scores back. The place that you finish in a meet is the number of points that you score for your team, so the low score wins. And Ashley was in our top 5 all season. She earned all conference and all district honors. She was our 4th place runner at the state meet. She's a pleasure to coach, and I look forward to another season with her. Junior Lydia Hulskamp. Nice props. She's one of our most dedicated runners. She only missed 2 morning runs all season, and both times I had to make her sleep in. She also has a very high tolerance for pain. As you can see, she's on crutches now, and Saturday she was an all-state runner. But it's also visible on her feet, because she ran all season with great big bloody blisters. She never said a word about them. The last 2 weeks, Lydia struggled with leg and hip issues, but she persevered. She was our top runner most of the season. She earned all conference, all district, and all state honors, and she placed 19th, and I'm very proud of her. Junior Paige Samples. Sometimes athletes lack confidence for whatever reason, and I think Paige suffers from that. However, from time to time, she allows her team and her coaches to see her true potential. As the season progressed, she started to develop a little more self-confidence, and towards the end of the season, her time dropped 30 seconds on the district course in just 2 weeks. She was our 6th place runner at the state meet, and with some faster, more consistent training, Her confidence will soar, and I look forward to her possibilities. I save the seniors for last. Senior John Inman. John began to take running a little more seriously this year. John first broke 21 minutes on the tough Sioux Passage course, questionably or arguably the toughest course in the state. Then he broke 19 at Cape Notre Dame. John improved each week and made himself a pretty good runner. He was a fun member to have on the team and was able to give it out as well as he could take it. I very much enjoyed the opportunity to coach John, and I wish him very much success in the future. Senior Eric Diesel. Due to some time constraints in training, I would sometimes begin to doubt Mr. Diesel. He missed a few morning practices, bloody noses, other things, but that was my mistake. You don't count Eric out. He earned all conference, all district, and all state honors. He placed 21st at the state meet. And that all district honor shouldn't be taken lightly. 8 of the 15 runners from our district were also all state. I treasure the opportunity I had to coach an athlete of Eric's caliber, and I'm sorry it's our last fall together. He has an incredibly bright future, and if he takes the discipline, dedication, and work ethics he's developed as a runner and applies them to his future endeavors, Eric is destined for great things. Senior Corey Samples. Corey again spent the summer eating McDonald's and playing Halo. Does that sound familiar? At least he didn't start the season grossly overweight. I said grossly. I wonder why he insists on starting each season out of shape. Maybe he likes the pain and embarrassment of it all. Or perhaps he just likes giving me a hard time about it. Regardless, I still hope this is the last time. Despite his slow, and I do mean slow start, Corey was able to move up from training with the girls by mid-season. I'm not kidding. From there, his progress was a bit faster, but I still question how a runner can run an 18:31 on the 11th of October and less than a month later break 17 minutes on a tougher state course. How can you do that? All joking aside, though, Corey is a fine young man and a great runner who's just brushed the surface of his ability. This season, he earned all district and all state honors, placing 17th at the state meet. I'm very proud of Corey, and I look forward to what his running career holds for him, but at the same time, it's with great sadness I say goodbye to our last fall together. Nicole Rutler. I have an opportunity most coaches don't have. I get to work with many of these distance runners year-round, and that allows us to develop a pretty strong coach-athlete relationship. But at the same time, it makes it harder to see them graduate, or at least in this case, say goodbye to a sport. Nicole's had a tremendous running career from the first time I threw her into the 4x8, where the fear of failure earned her a spot on the state team. I think she ran a 2:25. Perfect splits, 60 and a 90. 85, excuse me. She's a 3-time All-District and 3-time All-State cross-country runner. This year, however, she was determined to give me a bit more gray hair. Maybe a little more summer training before the wilderness running camp, huh, Nicole? That wouldn't have hurt. Then she spent the first third of the season with bursitis of the knee. And once she got that lined out, she gets a strained gluteus minimus. That's right, a strained gluteus minimus, a pain in the butt. Anyway, Nicole persevered. She turned out to be the big meat racer I knew she would be. She placed 6th at district, earned all district honors. She earned all state honors again this year, placing 25th. In the process, I hope Nicole has learned some important lessons, but it was with much sorrow I say goodbye to our last fall together, but at the same time, I cherish the thought of another track season. Every year I stand up here and I tell you, I get to say all the things I want to say about these kids. I hold them near and dear to my heart. They're a fine group. I treasure the opportunity to coach them. And with that said, we voted on some team awards. We have 2 awards for the boys and 2 for the girls. Most improved boy this year goes to the Halo boy, Corey Samples. Most improved girl, Ashley Brewster. Team leader on the boys' side, really no question, Eric Diesel. And as usually is the case, a senior girl got our team leader award, Nicole Rutler. This is the 2008 cross-country team. They placed 4th at the state meet. It's this program's 5th state trophy in a row, 6 in 5 years if you count the boys. Thank you.
Been a pretty successful fall around for the fall sports. I'd certainly like to also mention to the kids how well they represent St. Genevieve High School. It's something that I never even think about happening, but when these kids go off to other places or greet other teams competing in own matches, it's always get a lot of positive feedback from our opponents and our schools or whatever. So you kids, like I said, do a very good job of representing St. Genevieve High School. I'd like to thank the parents for attending tonight and raising these young men and ladies to the young people that they are. I know that coaches are pretty demanding when it comes to team discipline and stuff like that, but kind of like the way I feel about my football players, you know, it's not something that when we get them that we teach them. It's just the respect that they've been taught at home. So thank you very much, parents. Matt, give yourselves a hand on that, moms and dads. I'd like to point out or recognize a couple of individuals too that not only support our athletics very, very well, but give me a big helping hand as athletic director. I know this time of year for me with football going on, it's kind of hectic and crazy, and there's a lot of things I cannot do as an athletic director, like attend some of these games. So in my absence or whatever, Mr. Haney and Mr. C always make sure that either one or both are there, and it's not like they have to do something, but you know, it's one of the things, you know, I wouldn't tell them in a one-on-one conversation. In fact, I'd say bad things about them to them, but these guys have a genuine interest in our kids, not only the athletes, but the school body as a whole, but they take a lot of their free time to go watch our kids run, play volleyball, softball, or football, or whatever time of the year it is, and I'd appreciate it if you gave those 2 a hands. Mr. Haney, stand up back there. Similarities between the two. Not only do they care a great deal about your children and support them in every way, but also, if I guess Mr. Haney either put glasses on or Mr. C took his off, we could have a heck of a look-alike contest between the two. I'll stop there. I can only be nice for so long. Anyway, thanks. I appreciate the things that both of those guys do for our athletic program, and I think all the coaches do too. Now, that moment we've all been waiting for, the 50-50 drawing. So if you can get your little ticket out, pretty unique number that was drawn out of the pot. 2, 3. They're really unique. There are 5 5s and 1 0 in this number. In the order, they are 5 5, 5 5, 5 0. If you've got that lucky number, you're the recipient. Oh my God. Mr. McDaniel, you are the winner of $54. What's that? I've got it here, and I also want to check the number if you don't mind.
I got 6 of them, don't say the same thing.
Probably so. You know what the bad thing about it is? I was the one who drew it out of the bucket. I trust you. There you go. Give me a dollar tip. Here's your winning mate of that. Thank you very much. Okay, with that, folks, it brings us to a close for the evening. Again, thank you all for attending. And let's see, did Michael Boyd make it yet? Is there anyone here from the Herald? He's on his way. Sam, I'm afraid to ask you. You knew that. You telepathic or what? Oh, he called you. Okay. He is pretty close to being here. Okay, all the award winners, if you received an invisible plaque or an invisible medal or a plaque or a medal, why don't you, young men and ladies, get back there by the clock where we normally take them, and Mr. Boyd from the Herald will be here to take your photo very shortly. Okay, if I could have everyone's attention, we're going to get started with the meal here promptly. It's a few minutes after 6. I'd like to welcome everyone initially to the second half of the Fall Sports Banquet. Prior to eating, I'll ask Corey Faulkner to step forward and give our invocation.
All right, dear God, thank you for this day, and thank you for allowing everyone to gather here tonight in honor of our athletes. Thank you for giving all the athletes the ability and to be able to compete together. Thank you for the blessings that we have had in staying healthy and the accomplishments we were able to conquer this season. Please bless the food that has been provided for us tonight and the safety of everyone here tonight. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Wanted Corey to do the invocation tonight to prove that he could do more than throw a football and say down, set, hut one. Very good, thank you. Okay, again, you're probably sitting out there wondering, well, what's the order of tables tonight? So we had a little drawing previously, and I numbered the tables from the windows over here. This will be table 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So we had a little drawing, and just ironically, after the head table goes, table number 1 will follow. Then we bounce over here to table number 4, then table number 5, table number 3, and table number 2. You sat at the wrong place tonight. It goes very quickly, though. There are 4 serving lines back there, and I think Judy and her staff have another wonderful meal. I know we've been saving the same thing. We've got turkey dressing and mashed potatoes and all the goodies to go with it. Anyhow, it's been a very good meal, so as long as the meal's always good, why change it? So with that, we'll ask the head table to go start things, followed by, again, table number 1, 4, 5, 3, and 2. Enjoy your meal. Okay, if I could have your attention, we'll get on with the festivities for this evening. Again, I'd like to welcome everyone to the second half of our annual Fall Sports Banquet. Last week we had the softball, volleyball, and cross-country portion of it. We started splitting things up a few years back. We used to have just a single fall banquet out the Elks, and for various reasons we decided to start having it in here. Number one, the Elks cooks kind of retired, and I'm not going to say having difficulty, but in order to have a real good meal, we had to really look for some folks to do it. And anyhow, Judy Scherer and her staff have again fixed a wonderful meal. I'd like to give them a hand and thank them. And another thing, it kind of breaks it up. I know it'd be enjoyable to see all the fall sports together and recognize all the athletes and things like that, but unfortunately, you're looking at a marathon evening too, as it is right now. You know, I'm expecting to get out of here prior to 8. The other night, that banquet got over with at 8, so if you start looking at the 2 of them or whatever, you get out of here by 10 o'clock, and it makes for a long evening. So we split it up a few years ago and it seemed to work out very well. And again, like I said, I'd like to welcome you to the football and cheerleader portion of the fall banquets. And I'd like to introduce the head table. Looking over here to my left, which would be your right, Ms. Laura Geck and Mr. Jenna Wolk are the cheerleading sponsors for the girls. Anyhow, and over here to my far right, which would be your left, is Kenny White. He's one of the freshman coaches. We're missing a couple of freshman coaches tonight. Coach Avashan scheduled my doctor's appointment, some months back, and of course he really hated to miss this. And of course Coach Sherry became a first-time daddy, so he's in the hospital right now with his wife and newly born daughter. Anyhow, sitting next to Coach White is Coach Swice, and next to him is Coach Nix. These are our 2 JV coaches. And of course, Coach Weiler's right next to me, and of course, I am Coach Stolzer. You know, I call Coach White a freshman coach, or Coach Sherry, and I'm a freshman coach, and Coach Nix and Swice for JV coaches, and of course, Coach Weiler's the offensive coordinator, and I'm the head coach. But basically, what it is we share a lot of responsibilities amongst the team, whether it be the freshmen all the way up to the seniors or whatever. But in game times, those are the guys who basically call the shots. But we all do a lot of different things. I have the freshman coaches do a lot of things for the varsity and vice versa. So anyways, we will get on with the program now. Instead of following the order I told the ladies up here, we would let them go first, being gentlemen. So Laura Geck will come up here and introduce the cheerleaders, and Ms. Walk will give out their award.
All right, I want to first of all thank everyone who's helped out with cheerleading this year. If we didn't have football or volleyball, we wouldn't have cheerleaders. So I'm going to go ahead and talk a little bit about the season before I bring the girls up. The girls, along with the other athletes, start over the summer going through practices, and if we get to camp, we go. We started out with car wash in like 110 degrees. The girls can vouch for that. I think half of them were puking by the end of the day. We came back, last year we had a pretty good year, and the girls decided they wanted to make it much better. We ordered new uniforms to start the year, which kind of gave us a little bit of an instinct to come out and show people what we have. We had 2 girls that went to Hawaii this summer to a camp and brought back lots of information for the girls. Most of our dances and such came from the camp that they went to. Hopefully we can send more girls that way this summer. We have a new coach, Coach Walk. She definitely is not a cheerleader. She came from a background of basketball, so the first thing she says to me is, "Do these girls shut up?" I said, "Welcome to cheerleading, Coach Walk." The girls have a little nickname for her because they really didn't know what to expect, so they decided they'd start joking with her and decided with the new song they would start calling her Coach Walk It Out. With all that being said, we went through a great season. We started off with a lock-in before homecoming, which kind of started the festivities. The girls during homecoming decorate the school, have a lock-in, even though we didn't start decorating until like 4 o'clock in the morning. Trying to stay up with 13, 14 girls is a chore. We then went on through the week with the dress-up days, and come on Friday, the girls put together 4 different pep assemblies for the day. They did a good job at staying definitely cheerful through the hardest time of cheerleading is homecoming. Then, towards the end of the season, we definitely had a good season for football and volleyball. Some of the girls were honored to get to go to the volleyball state. With that being said, as any girl would like to do, we definitely shopped. The girls got makeovers. We went and seen The Lion King. We would love to have all the girls get to go, however, that just didn't work out. I'm going to go ahead and start having the girls come up. I'm going to start with the freshmen. We have one, Bailey Lavender. Bailey is a first-year letterman. Hope to see her come back out. Sophomores, Alyssa Kastner. Is she here? She's not here. Jenna Wiener is a first-year football, volleyball letterman. Sam Wheeler, first-year football, volleyball letterman. On with the juniors, Jordan Ash is a first-year football, volleyball letterman. Ashley Pettis. Alicia Smith. Oh, sorry, girls, these are the juniors, except for Sam. Jordan, Ashley, and Alicia are juniors. Thank you. Here we go. And along for the half of our cheerleading team are seniors. We have 6 seniors this year. It's going to be tough losing them. That is half of our team. I'd like to bring up Janelle Moore, Katie Warner, Amanda Stupi, Amelia Nagger, Trisha Cash, and last but not least, we've had a first-year letterman as a senior. We have Anastasia, who has come all the way from Norway to join us. These are your 2008 fall cheerleaders. Once again, if it wasn't for everyone else, cheerleading would not be possible. We'd like to thank the coaches. I'd like to give a special thank you out to Carrie Haney. She's in the back. She does a lot for the girls, even though it's a Sunday and we have cheerleading tryouts on Monday, and me and Haney's in her living room making up new dances for the girls. So she definitely puts a lot of time and effort into cheerleading with us. She deserves recognition. These girls have really set the expectations high for the upcoming years. I don't know how many times I've heard, the girls look great, the girls look like great. That's not something you hear very much in St. John. So good job, girls. We have 2 awards to give out. We have a Miss Cheerleader Award, which goes to a girl that shows great leadership, helps out for those who need it, and takes the extra initiative to cheerleading. We would like to present that to Amanda Stupi. And one more award, we have a Miss Spirit Award, which goes to a girl who shows great enthusiasm, brings up the spirit when it's down, even when the team's not such great. She definitely keeps the girls rolling. We'd like to present this to Katie Warner. That's all I have.
I'm good at passing out stuff.
Okay, thank you, gals. Thanks a lot, cheerleaders. I know the football players and coaches and everyone appreciate the things that you girls do. We do notice all the signs and things you put in the hallways, so thank you very much. If you were wondering, those things do get noticed, they certainly do. Okay, we'll move on with the football section now. Coach White will introduce the freshman players.
Okay, freshman players, when I call your name, come on up. Coach Weiss will help me out here. If you'd please hold your applause so they all come up here. It'll kind of expedite things. Clayton Bowman. Jacob Billings. Corey Bollinger, Jonathan Brewer. Come on up, Jake.
Come on, guys.
Derek Brown, Logan Bergert, Steve Burrows, Tyler Campbell, Kevin Capps, Brian Carroll, David Karen, Wayne Karen, David Ditch, Jonathan Dowdy, Ethan Figge, Kyle Figge, Mike Finley, Derek Gettinger, Logan Giesler, Brady Grass,
Move on down, Dennis.
Travis Greither, John, move down. Xavier Greither, James Isbell, Dylan Laws, Patrick Liff, Tyler Lawrence, Ryan Madison, Michael Mooney, Zach Rankin, Devin Shilley, Josh Seeker, Brian Stribinger, Jacob Sutton, Brendan Weiler, Dylan Wheeler, Terrell Williams, Tommy Williams, and Danny Woodtoo. I wanted these guys up here because on behalf of these guys and the two coaches that were not able to make it tonight, we want to also thank the administration, Mr. C and Mr. Haney, for all the support. These guys here to my right, the coaching staff, who, you know, we get a lot more from them, obviously, than we give to them, and we're very appreciative of it. Our managers, who they'll get recognized by the other coaches also, but Nicole and Brittany, who came and helped us out with our games and practices. And as parents, it was kind of nice when some of our away games, we actually had a bigger crowd than the home teams did, and it was a really good following, and it was a really good year. This group ended up 7-1. Hopefully they've got a lot to build on. Last people I want to thank on behalf of Coach Albashana and Coach Sherry and myself is these guys right here. Hey guys, thanks for your dedication, your hard work. I think it showed that you believed in what we were doing, and it paid off for you. And hopefully you'll believe us when we tell you, you know, what you need to do now. And you've heard it over and over and over again, get in the weight room. Okay? Thanks, guys.
Okay, there were a few freshmen who didn't make it tonight. Along with that motley bunch was standing up here. You know, I can only encourage you guys to stick together, and like Coach White said, get in the weight room and work. And we had 13 seniors this year, and we're very successful, who, you know, ended their season with a district and conference championship. And if the numbers can stick together and you guys work together, you know, by the time you guys are senior, if you're going to have 20-something seniors, the years when we had 20-something seniors, we were really in the thick of things as far as the state playoffs and the Final Four, or ending up in a dome or up in Columbia or whatever. So it's something good for you guys to shoot for. As far as the rest of the players, what we deem varsity, usually when you become a sophomore, you get a varsity jersey and travel with the varsity. It doesn't necessarily mean you get to play a lot on the varsity unless there's lopsided score either way or not. So what us coaches have done is divided the kids basically into fourths, and so we're going to introduce, especially more so the kids that Coach Weiss and Coach Knicks will be introducing are the ones they had more hand in directly coaching or whatever, same with Coach Weiler and I when we get to that portion. So, Coach Nix, you go first, or is Coach Weiss? Coach Nix will go first.
Okay, like Coach Stolzer said, Coach Weiss and I coached JV this year, and we had a pretty successful season. We were 6-1. We had one game canceled due to weather, but we ended up being 6-1, which was quite a turnaround for the sophomore bunch, and they did have some help from the. Go ahead and clap for me. They were 0-8 last year. I'd like to say it's all me, but it's not. No, the guys worked hard, and with a little help from the junior class, they had a successful season. They bought into this new offense that we run, and it's really hard to stop at the younger levels. And we were pretty successful with it, and Coach Schweiss did a good job with the defense as usual. Kids played hard, and they played like St. John football players do, and we ended up 6-1. I'm going to call them up one at a time, and if you could just hold your applause to the end, it'd be appreciated. Clayton Cox. Clayton was our quarterback for the past 2 years. He's a junior. I believe he was 11-3 over the past 2 years. He'll probably play on both sides of the ball for us next year if he works hard. Jordan Ritter. Jordan played both sides of the ball for JV this year. He was a leader on both sides of the ball. One of our better players at the JV level this year, and had a lot of yards after the catch, which if you look at him, he's not a very big kid, but he broke quite a few tackles this year and played really hard. Very proud of him. Matt Foff. Matt Foff's the kind of kid that he's going to do anything you ask him to do, and unfortunately for Matt, I think Clayton was just a step ahead of him at the quarterback position, but I always knew that if something happened to Clayton Cox and he got hurt or couldn't play, I was pretty comfortable with putting Matt in and knowing that he would do a good job as well. And when he did play, he did do a good job for us, offense and defense. Jacob Turk. Turk's not here, okay. Josh Baker. No Josh Baker, okay. Josh Pinkley. Josh is one of the more aggressive JV players that we had. He's a better defensive player than he is offensive, but I think he just needs to get a little bit of confidence. I've seen him in the weight room last week and this week, and I think putting on some weight and some muscle is going to get him that confidence that he needs. But he's one of our better tacklers, and he'll come up and hit you, that's for sure, no matter how small he is right as of now. He'll get bigger, right, Josh? Brandon Weiner. Weiner, first varsity game of the season, we're playing Dexter, and I think we should have sent a greener to the Dexter kid for the hit that he put on Weiner. He got jacked up. No, he got hit pretty hard. It was a blind side, and unfortunately he did sustain an injury for that and missed a lot of the season. When he was able to come back the last couple of JV games, he was a big factor for us at linebacker on defense, and one of our receivers on offense. A very quick kid. Again, if he'll lift and get big, he'll contribute big time on the varsity level next year. Greg Thomas. Derek Greasehopper. Greasy, another kid that's like Pinkley. He's not the biggest kid, but he'll come up and hit you. And unfortunately, that got him hurt this year. Evan Weiler came up to me and said, "Coach, I think Greasy's concussed." And it took me a minute to figure out what concussed meant. Oh, okay. And he was concussed. You could see it in his eyes. Because of that, he missed probably about half the season, maybe not quite half the season, but he didn't get gun shy at all. As soon as he came back, he was putting hits on people, and he was a good JV player for us this year. Evan Weiler, Mr. Vocabulary. Evan improved a lot over the course of the year. It seemed like at the beginning of the year he was a little bit timid, but I can remember over the course of the season, on special teams, he would put a good hit on a kid, and it was, whoa, that was Evan Weiler, baby Evan, all right. He started to stick his nose in there, and Evan really enjoyed playing, and he was there to make the tackle when we needed him. Zach Fowler. Zach is a junior. He's a strong kid for his size, not very big, but pound for pound, he's pretty strong. He's also very quick. He's a linebacker, and he didn't get a whole lot of playing time on offense for us. But I think, again, he's wrestling right now. He's lifting weights, and if he can continue to get stronger like these other guys, he's going to be a big factor, probably defensively for us next year. I'm going to introduce these next three as a group, and then talk about the three of them. JV and freshman managers: Brittany Beckett, Nicole Reyes, and Ben Bader. You guys come on up. Ben not here? Okay. Nicole and Brittany are, this is their second year helping out. They were primarily freshman managers last year, but they volunteered to step up and do some JV games last year. They did both this year. And if we can just get Brittany Beckett to come out of her shell, maybe she'll start talking a little bit more. No. They were, there was probably, I don't know, about half the games this year I was chewing on them, and I know coaches usually aren't supposed to chew on managers, but they'd be off doing this, that, and the other. But I really never did what I should have done, and I never really did tell them how much I appreciated the help that they gave us this year. And they are good managers, and I wouldn't trade them for anybody else, and I sure hope they come back next year, and I didn't scare them off this year. Please give these people a round of applause. You guys can go ahead and sit down. Coach Weiss will do the other half of the JV team.
Thank you. Okay. All right, I'm up here to introduce the linemen. I didn't realize that I was coaching with Jerry Seinfeld, the comedian, but I don't quite have the speaking skills that he does, and the quick wit, those charming blue eyes, or any of that. But anyway. I didn't just say that. All right, our linemen this year, like Coach Nix and Coach White both talked about, we introduced a new system offensively throughout the program this year, and it was a big change for all the players, and it was including the linemen. And they did a really good job this year. It was tough at the beginning. We went through some growing pains with it on the JV level as well as the varsity level. But as the season went on, they really picked up on it. They improved with every game. And I think the results in the program this year proved that they really took to the system, and hopefully that'll lead us into the future. I'll call the kids up one by one. Hold your applause to the end, just like you did with Coach Nix. Offensive guard, defensive tackle, Adam Geck. He's a junior. Adam here. Center, defensive end, Adam Keene. I want to see a picture of that deer before you leave. Offensive guard, defensive tackle, Travis Roth. Center, defensive end, Nick Whittu. Offensive tackle, defensive tackle, Brian Herman. Offensive tackle, defensive end, Justin Roth. Offensive guard, outside linebacker, Alan Wolfen. Offensive guard, linebacker, Nick Schwint. Offensive tackle, defensive end, Dalton Schrumpf. Offensive guard, defensive tackle, Steve Monia. Offensive guard, defensive tackle, Mike Kavanaugh. Offensive guard, defensive tackle, Gary Butler. And last but not least, offensive tackle, linebacker, Keith Orman. Certainly not least. These are the JV linemen for this year. Good job, guys. Just to kind of echo the thoughts of Coach White a while ago when he was talking about the freshmen, we have a lot of people to thank, especially our managers, Nicole, Brittany, Ben. You guys did a great job for us. We appreciate all that you do. Kenzie and Jesse, you guys were helping us out too. Thank you very much. These guys here, Coach Weiler and Coach Stolzer, we're very fortunate to be able to work here with these guys. It's amazing what you can learn in 5 years working with some of the best in the state. They truly are great at what they do and very supportive of us as assistant coaches and helping us along and helping us in our growth as coaches. Our parents, thank you very much. Without you, it wouldn't be possible, especially with the younger kids. You guys really have to kind of tail them around, and it's kind of a pain in the butt, I know, but hopefully it's worth it for you. I know your kids think it's worth it, and they appreciate you, but we want you to know that we appreciate you as well. Our wives, we spend a ton of time away from home during season, and they're very supportive of all of us, and we just appreciate everything that you guys do, and thank you very much.
Okay, we'll turn it over to Coach Weiler now.
Okay, I have 13 athletes to mention, but first I would like to say congratulations to, again, all the fall sports participants. We had probably one of the best fall seasons in all sports this year. As our volleyball team made it to state. Our softball team did really well in comparison to some other years, and of course our football team, and of course our cheerleaders did well again. So it's been a good year. Hopefully, some people say the way the football season goes is the way the school year goes, and it's been a pretty pleasant school year so far, and sometimes you start believing that anyway. I have 13 athletes. First one's Drew Vessel. Come on up, Drew. As you can see, he had one question, and that was what barber did the seniors go to this year? Okay, Drew played junior varsity team, a little bit on the varsity team. Has some ability. He was getting stronger last year, and he kind of took a little vacation. I think he can bump somebody at outside linebacker. I talked to him about this year if he's willing to put the time in that it takes. We sure could use a hard-nosed outside linebacker to replace some of them we're losing this year. Timmy Lurk. Timmy was one of those kids that came in the weight room, summer school, over 20 times this summer, and I think it really paid off. His speed started increasing. He's a tough-nosed kid. He seems to get hurt a lot, so hopefully we can get stronger, and maybe that won't happen. Hopefully he gets back into summer school. Work on his hand-eye coordination a little bit. He might fit in one of our slot positions, and man, if I'm a football player, I'm either wanting to play one of those positions or running back, because 184 receptions in those two positions, that's a ton. Brock Maher, he may move into one of those slot positions. I'm thinking he will, but you got to put a little weight on, and he got seconds back there, so you can go back and get some more. Very good hands, prolific offensive player, great hands. Caught 43 passes for 519 yards, 3 TDs. Again, if he gets stronger, he can probably play just about any position he wants. He plays pretty well on defense, especially against the pass. Needs to get a little bit tougher for the run, but his senior season, I think that will happen. Brock was honorable mention all-conference receiver. Corey Hook. Corey, looking over the year, if we had one or two kids to look back upon and say, man, he really maybe exceeded expectations, I think I would put my money on Corey. We had a lot of great participants, but Corey, he had a really good year, and then he hurt his ankle, and we started jumbling people around a little bit, and it really hurt us. But Corey's got a lot of natural strength. We sure would like to see him get in the weight room a little bit more, because I think he could be another, maybe Brandon Bourbon, who plays for Potosi and is going to be back next year, and he's a stud. But Corey's got the capabilities. 78 carries, 9.3 yards an average, and that's awful good for a junior or senior. His carry total again was low mainly due to injuries. He also got 32 passes for 315 yards and 7 TDs, so he'll be a force next year in the backfield. He was received second team running back. Keith Foff. Keith also attended summer school. I think he was there like 25 times, which is probably up there for the junior or senior class, one of the top 2 or 3. Backup slot receiver for us. When his number was called, the Westminster game, he came in and had some really nice catches. Ended the year with 10 catches, 92 yards, scored 2 TDs. JV player, he pretty much ruled the field. He pretty much dominated. If Keith decides to put time in the off-season again like he did last summer, I think that he's got a good chance of taking over one of those starting receiver spots. Kyle Arnold, senior. Kyle came to summer school a little bit, and once he started lifting late spring, he developed his speed quite a bit and he got stronger. And because of that, he got to see a lot more playing time. And he did a good job. He hustled, he wasn't afraid to hit, stuck his nose in there, and he improved vastly as the season went on for sure. He finished the year on defense with 25 tackles, 4 assists, 3 tackles behind the line of scrimmage, and he had a fumble recovery. Okay, Tommy Bach, running back, cornerback, linebacker. He went to summer school a little bit. Displayed a burst of speed off the ball. He was very quick his first few steps. Offensively, he rushed for 229 yards on 26 carries. He averaged 8.8 yards, so our F-backs, or F-troop, or whatever you want to call him, did a pretty good job. He scored 1 TD, caught 8 passes for 93 yards and 1 touchdown also. He was in on 50 tackles, recorded 7 assists, 3 behind the line, had 3 interceptions, and 10 pass breakups, and because of that, he was all-conference first-team defensive back, and then last night, Coach just came back for the meeting, and they chose him as second-team all-region defensive back. Adam Roth, defensive end, tight end. He was instrumental to the offense as part of our Power I team. We went with 3 backs in the backfield, one of our tight ends. And for 3A school, we weren't blessed with having those 6'3", 215-pound tight ends or a fullback 185 or 195. We just didn't have those positions. And so I guess it was a good thing that we found an offense that was instrumental in adjusting to what kind of athletes we did have. We needed a replacement for one of our outside receivers, which is X and Z. So these kids did learn a little bit of ABCs as we went on. We had no problem putting Adam in that spot. He had 20 tackles, 5 assists, 1 behind the line, 2 big fumble recoveries. Jeremy Vaith. Jeremy was second in tackles on the team, and from an outside linebacker position, I don't know if that's a real good thing or not, but he had 74 and another 13 assists. 7 tackles were behind the line, which means he was probably blitzing. 1 big interception for a TD. Offensively, Jeremy had 5 catches for 51 yards, 1 TD, had a big catch up at Westminster. Due to Jeremy's multi-talented ability, his summer was filled with baseball, where he excels as a pitcher, infielder, and outfielder. And once he became comfortable in our offense, we felt like at that point we could use him a lot more and would be a huge contributor. It was Jeremy's defensive skills that probably kept him from playing more offense. Cody Smelsley, big, tall, rangy, wide receiver, safety. At defensive back position, he had 2 nice interceptions. On the season, he also had 2 pass breakups to go along with his 15 tackles and 4 assists. Had 1 fumble recovery. Offensively, Cody gave teams difficult matchups with his 6'6", 160-pound frame. I don't think they could see him. All joking aside, Cody made a huge catch, and I think it was 3 ball games in a row and back-to-back. One was against Potosi that maybe was the difference in us winning that game and not. Great hands he possessed. He finished the year with 39 catches, 464 yards, 6 TDs, and received honorable mention all-conference receiver. Dustin Ironman No. Ironman Dustin falls in the category of the toughest player that I've ever coached. Defensively, he was in on 49 tackles, 15 assists, 5 tackles behind the line, 1 fumble recovery, 4 interceptions, 2 pass breakups, and he got popcorn for coach at halftime. He was an all-conference first-team linebacker. On offense, he shattered the St. John receiving record and all-time state record for receptions with 121. And the big thing about that is he set out at least a game and a half due to the injury, his ankle. He caught 121 balls for 1,507 yards for 15 TDs. And the magical thing about Dustin is in his last 2 games he played, he caught 20 passes in each of the games, which I believe 18 was an old record, so he did it twice. Dustin also scored 9 rushing TDs and was an all-conference unanimous first-team receiver. Iron Man was selected to the first-team all-region receiver and second-team linebacker, and I would be very shocked if he doesn't bring home a first-team all-state receiver as well. You guys might have heard of Corey Faulkner. He played a little bit. Where you at, Corey? There he is. Corey leaves his name in the record books for top passer in school history. In fact, 5 times, he's up there 3 times. 2008 campaign being the most cherished when he broke Brad Arnold's passing record of 2,600 yards. Corey finished his senior year completing 72% of his passes, 318 to 442 for 3,899 yards and 47 TDs. He also broke the 1,000-yard mark in rushing with 1,055 yards on 149 carries and 15 TDs. Under Corey's leadership, the offense put up 6,300 total yards, 236 first downs, averaged 19 plus a game. Corey was first-team all-conference quarterback, was voted MVP of the conference as well. I'm sure he will win many upcoming awards listed in the next 2 weeks or 3 weeks. Has many colleges interested in his talents for next fall and for years to come. He was also selected last night by SEMO Coaches Association as a first-team quarterback and all-region Offensive Player of the Year in Class 3. I must mention Corey did attend summer school, as did Dustin, and it definitely paid off. Josh Meyer. Josh Meyer attended summer school for a little while. No, he didn't flunk out. But he did see something the other day I had Michael Rhodes' ACT score in front of me in 33 and said, "Hey, Coach, I got something to ask you. Coach, I got something to ask you. You think you can tell the crowd about my ACT score?" I said, "Josh, you took it twice. I can't add them up." You got to understand Josh. As a defensive back, Josh was in on 12 tackles and 3 assists. I guess you could say he had a nose for the ball. As a wide receiver, Josh got himself in the record books with 63 catches for 895 yards, which I believe is 3rd in St. John's school history. He scored 12 touchdowns. He was voted all-conference first-team receiver. He found time to balance working in summer school, as I mentioned before, with the weight training and the PE that we did this summer. I'm sure that giving up 3 weeks of work was well worth the success and memories that he will forever have. Josh also missed the better part of 2 games due to an ankle injury, so where would those numbers be had he not gotten hurt those games as well. He was last night selected first-team all-region receiver as well. Okay, many records were set during the 2008 campaign: yards passing, yards receiving for season end games. School record for points scored, 593, which is 49 point whatever average. Total yards, 6,300. First downs, 236. Most likely total plays, 786, because a lot of times we didn't huddle. This 08 team averaged 9 points more than the 2000 team that held the record at 40 points a game. That's quite a bit. As I reflect on the season, if we had to play it again, I'd be a little nervous because 10-2 is a pretty good season. We weren't blessed with great big athletes, but we were blessed with athletes that had great big hearts. So, a lot of these kids work really hard. They love the system. They love the game. They stuck together. They played together. They're friends and so on. There's no guarantees in life, as there are no guarantees in football. The athletes who are the best at their position will be the athletes that play on Friday nights. Players that are willing to work in the weight room, attend summer school, learn to do the training, those are the athletes that will have a big jump on everyone else. You can only be as good as you want to be. Some players will be moved around so that we can get the best 11 on the field next year. Talk around town is that St. John will be down for the next few years. It's your job and our job to make sure that that doesn't happen. How many seniors will work? How many juniors, sophomores, freshmen are willing to work, to put in the time, to be dedicated? How many athletes are planning to attend summer school? You know, look around, folks. These are the athletes that will be in front of the runners for next season. You know, you get out of the season what you put in it. Ask those all-conference first-teamers what it takes to be good. Don't wait until your senior year to put the work in. It's too late. Okay, on the other side of the hill, I believe the Warriors have it going in the right direction. Their lifting percentage is like 99%. Those kids coming in 25, 30 times a summer. You know, if they can do it, I don't know why we can't do it. They're going to speed practices. They're doing 7-on-7, 3 to 4 times a week. You know, our question is, what are our plans? What are your plans to be as good as you can be? I think I have to challenge you guys. I have to challenge your parents to make sure that they push you to get you in the weight room. We can't start after Christmas. We have to start right now. We have to do whatever we can because we've got a ways to go. We've got to replace a lot of great senior football players. So the challenge is to both parents and players. Thank you.
Okay, moving right along. Before I get going, introducing the final section of our players, I'd like a few thank yous. I'd like to point out again, the other night at the cross country and softball and volleyball banquet, I pointed out Mr. C and Mr. Haney, the two shining heads positioned in the back there. I just want to give these guys a special thank you. They take very genuine interest in the kids. You know, as administrators, they feel obligated a lot of times to do these things, but being around the two of them as much as I am, they really take a genuine interest in being with your kids and supporting your kids, and so I appreciate if you gave them a hand before we continue on. I know during football season I get awful busy at times, and those two guys will help me out a lot of times, just bring me to get a few things done, and I really do appreciate that. Just like today, getting ready for the banquet, I called Mr. C up and I said, hey, I've got a lot of things I got to get done today. He said some bad things to me, but then of course he agreed. He just said, stay down and get your work done. So I do appreciate that from the two of you. I'd like to also thank the local media, KBDZ Radio or KSGM and the St. John Herald for keeping the public aware of what our kids are doing in the sports scene. I'd like to thank the parents for the meals they prepared for the kids prior to the games and all the signs that they put up, especially out the field. It was very attractive out there the last couple of games, all those signs hanging around. And you know, like I told the cheerleaders a while ago, we do notice those things. We don't go running around pointing at them and saying, hey, we see this, but you know, just to let you guys all know, we do notice those things. I'd like to thank the Booster Club who funds this thing, and if you haven't joined, I'd like to encourage you to join the Booster Club. Not only funding the meals for these banquets and the awards that the kids receive, but anytime there's a kind of an external need, you might call it, that the athletic program or my budget won't be able to afford, the Booster Club is always ready to step in there. And of course, very namely speaking, the football field where the kids were playing at the last couple of years, Booster Club financed a great big old chunk of that, and we're getting ready to, we started, I guess, last spring/summer wanting to renovate our weight room, and once football season hit, that kind of went on hold, and I began talking about that again the other day with the coaches. Anyhow, at the last Booster Club meeting, I believe we just let us know. So very supportive for the kids. I'd like to thank the coaches and their families. These guys put in an awful lot of time, and I don't think anyone really knows how much time they do other than their families. So got to include the families in that. It's a big part of it. Anyways, okay, moving along then, we will introduce the rest of the kids. Of course, when we break down in unit periods, the lineman, Coach Weiss, and I are usually with those, so those will be the gentlemen or young men that I will be introducing here. And like I always tell the backs when we get done stretching, to break up for technique and unit periods, all the men come with me, and then the backs can go with Coach Ryder and Coach Nick. So I take great pride in that. I really feel that the backs are always envious of that, and several times I've noticed some of them starting to go away, and Coach Ryder has to make them come back. Anyways, okay, number 50, Jake Gang. Jake was our starting left guard this year, along with starting defensive lineman. His play got him recognized as a second-team all-conference guard. And named last night when I kind of pointed out to where a couple of our guys, we racked up about 6,300 yards in offense this year. And like I told coaches at the meeting last night, some of these guys up front had to be doing something. Anyhow, he was selected as the first-team all-region offensive guard last night. He was also an honorable mention defensive lineman on the all-conference team and all-region team. Jake, very fundamentally sound offensive lineman. He also played defense, like I said. His defensive stats were he had 32 primary tackles and 10 assists, and 10 of those tackles were behind the line of scrimmage. I think he had something like 4 quarterback sacks to add to that. Should be one of the best offensive linemen in the conference next year. Coach Ryder and I both felt he was certainly one of the best ones in it this year. Number 54, Jake Gettinger. Jake was our starting center for us all 12 games this year. He was chosen on the all-conference team as a second-team all-conference center. Played some inside linebacker. And probably one of the most remarkable feats that Jake had was I just kind of piddled around and totaled things up. Out of an estimated 777 snaps to quarterback in a shotgun position this year, he didn't have a one bad snap. I don't know if it was his snaps or Faulkner's athletic ability to catch the low or high ones, but you know, that's a very phenomenal thing. I was talking to a member of the media the other day, and he kind of pointed it out to me, and you know, that is a remarkable feat. 777 times snapping that thing between your legs out of the blind. He's not sitting down there looking where he's snapping the ball. He'll check things out every once in a while, see if Faulkner is still back there or not, but out of the blind, and you know, go home tonight and try it one time out of the blind and see where the snap ends up. But like I said, no fumbles, very good job at that, and like I said, not an easy thing to do. Number 55, Captain Eli Grimwood. Eli is one of these players who developed himself through working in a weight room. He started at left tackle for us this year in defensive line. He earned honors as a second-team offensive tackle and defensive lineman of the all-conference team. He was also selected last night as a member of the all-region team. Defensively, he had 22 primary, 8 assists, and 3 tackles behind the line. Great leader by example. You know, he's one of these inspirational type of guys for you younger players. Back when Eli was a freshman, he was a little roly-poly rascal. It's just kind of funny. I wish I had some pictures, but I can remember Eli as a freshman. You go get him. He was, I'm serious, you know, I'm not just poking fun at him. I'm not trying to embarrass him, but he was a little roly-poly guy, and kind of wonder if he's going to amount to much more than a bowling ball for somebody someday. But you know, Eli got in the weight room and built himself into the player that he is today. So like I said, he really ought to serve as an inspiration for younger guys. You know, it's kind of a funny thing happened with Eli. He got knocked cuckoo in the Perryville game this year. I didn't know that until after I had chewed him out a couple of times. We're playing defense, and all of a sudden Perryville gets a big game, and you're watching what's going on in the game, and you know whose fault that probably is wherever they're running out on the field or whatever. So they both contained, and Eli was playing defensive end, and it was his responsibility to make sure nobody got out around the end. So I get him out of the ball game, and I'm not real nice to him. I explained to him in not real nice tone that I was unhappy with his performance and sent him back out there again. Well, they run the same play and the same thing happens. So sure enough, I've got to get him back out and explain my displeasure to him again. Anyway, I get him out of the ball game, and he comes out and goes, "Coach, I can't remember anything," and I don't know if he's just having brain fade or what, but come to find out, the poor kid had received a concussion in the first part of the game. Some of the kids are coming up, "Coach, he doesn't know what's going on, he can't remember." So the trainers come and take him away, and man, I started having this real bad guilt trip. Here some poor kid's got a concussion, can't remember a thing, and I'm chewing on him like a dog chewing on a bone or something. Well, I'm feeling bad and stuff about it until after the game. I'm talking to him, and I'm about to apologize to him, and said, "Eli, do you remember me yelling at you when I took you out of the game?" He was, "No, I don't remember that either, Coach." I said, "Okay," so made me feel a lot better after that. Number 56, Antonio DiPietro. Okay, Antonio is one of our foreign exchange students. He came in from Italy this past year, and he came up and asked if he could play football. And of course, some of these foreign exchange kids, they come from over Europe or whatever, the soccer programs and stuff over there. We talked to him about, "Did you ever play soccer?" "Oh, a little bit, not much." So there went his kicking skills out the window. So I think Antonio really had a good time. He's never played the game before, and for one thing, can you imagine going to a strange country and going to school there, but then suddenly playing a strange sport that you've never played before? So just think about some of the sports that they play in other countries. How would you like to go and try and play that? But I think Antonio learned a lot about the game. I think he enjoyed it and learned a lot from us, and we enjoyed having him. Number 66, Travis Martin. Travis was a defensive lineman who was basically a pass rush specialist. We got third and long situations or whatever. You usually saw number 66 running out into the field and one of the other guys coming off. He played a lot at either right or left defensive tackle. He had 19 primary, 3 assisted tackles, 3 behind the line tackles, and 2 fumble recoveries. Travis is one of these kids who only knows one speed, and that's as hard as he can go. And Travis works hard in the weight room as well. I really look for him next year to be a strong challenger at one of the offensive line and defensive line positions as a starter. Number 67, Waylon Duvall. Waylon was one of our backup offensive linemen. He was the guy that got to go in and replace knocked cuckoo Eli whenever Eli went down. I think he learned a lot that ball game, how tough varsity ball can be, because he was against one of Parable's bigger tackles. The nice thing about Waylon was he could play either side, and that's very important to have someone like that. Most of the time, though, Waylon's value was he was one of our big contributors on the specialty teams. So wherever Waylon was needed, that's where Waylon would go. Number 68, Tyler Fowler. Tyler's another one of our hard workers who puts in a lot of time in the off season, and hope he continues to do that. If he continues to have the work ethics that he does, he'll be one of these linemen who challenge for a spot as a starter in either offense or defense next year. He was on most of our special teams this year and was also a backup at outside linebacker. Number 70, Travis Nager. Travis is a 2-year starter at defensive tackle. This year he earned honorable mention honors in the all-conference team. Travis is another frequent face in the weight room. He increased his speed, strength, and quickness over last year, and hopefully he's going to improve on those skills as well for next year. He had 32 primary tackles, 11 assists, and 3 tackles behind the line, and he also led the team in fumble recoveries with 4 this year. Number 71, Jesse Christensen. There's not a harder worker on our team other than Jesse, and Jesse ended up starting most of the games at one of our defensive tackle spots this season. He recorded 15 primary, 4 assists, and 1 tackle behind the line. He developed himself into a player through his hard work habits. You know, Jesse's the kind of guy, he'll do anything you ask of him, always does his best. Just one of those players that whenever you say to be there, he was there, very dependable young man. Jesse's the kind of guy where I really believe if I would have told him that, Jesse, if you eat your styrofoam plate tonight, it's going to make you a better player, he'd probably still be sitting there chewing on the styrofoam. Number 72, Brad Korn. Corny's another one of these players that works hard. He was mainstay in a PAT field goal team. And I can honestly say that although we missed several of those things this year, there was no one ever came through on Corny's side. And he's working his speed and quickness this year, and he could possibly challenge for a starting spot either in offense or defensive line next fall. Number 73, Michael Herman. Herm started a few games for us at linebacker this year. His defensive stats were 13 primary tackles and 3 assists, and he had 1 fumble recovery. Hopefully he's going to hit the weight room too this winter and summer and develop strength and size to compete for a starting position next year. Number 76, James Lawson. James won the starting position at right guard this season, and he was one of these guards or offensive linemen who never made mistakes. Very smart player. He always knew not only his assignments, but normally he knew the guys on either side. He usually knew who getting they were supposed to block, and not that Rhodes never needed it, but he also knew who Rhodes was going to block as well. James was one of these players who got a lot better as the season went on, really developed. Number 78, Captain Michael Rhodes. Rhodesian Rhodes here is another one of these players who developed himself through off-season work in the weight room. Michael was a second-team all-conference offensive tackle and also made the team last night as a second-team all-region tackle on offense. You know, I guess our conference and region was best, or was really blessed with a lot of good tackles this year. I don't know, it's really been a stumper and an aggravation because Michael certainly, I felt, was a first-team all-conference player, as did Coach Weiler, and like I said, there were some awful big and awful good tackles this year. So, you know, round and all, I guess second team's really nothing to be ashamed of, Michael, although I certainly feel you were a first-teamer. He was a 3-year starter at offensive tackle for us. He was also a second-team all-conference linebacker. Let's see. Moving on down, I had a lot of bad things I was going to say about Michael, but I'm not going to do those. Okay, defensively, Michael had 77 tackles for us this year, 16 of them assists, and 9 of those tackles were behind the line. He also had a block kicked. Michael was all over the field. He played both sides of the ball and was still as proficient as can be. Again, another inspiration for you younger guys. Rhodes was never as big and massive as he is right now. He was never roly-poly like Eli. He was just a little skinny, gangly kid. And one of these great examples of dedicating himself and getting in the weight room and working hard. And, you know, Michael had some skills and he really developed himself. And we're really going to miss him as well next year. Okay, number 21, Kinsey Moss. Step on up here, Kinsel. Kenzie's one of our managers. This was her second-year gal. Tremendous help with everything. She certainly knew the ropes, remembered them from last year as far as the ins and outs of what needs to be done and everything from being taking care of a lot of the equipment stuff to standing in as a player on days when the JV had games. Probably should have issued her equipment. I don't know if you've noticed some things that go on the sideline, but one of the practices this year, I noticed she was sitting over the bench crying, so I didn't know what was wrong. So I go over there and she twisted her wrist or something. She ended up going to the emergency room, comes back the next day all bandaged up like an injured football player. And then lo and behold, I'm out after one of the games, and my wife Deb was down talking to me, and then she informs me that Kinsey's hurt. It seems like one of Faulkner's passes, one of the few he threw wrong this this year erratically sailed over the receiver's head, and Kinsey tried to catch it with her mouth open. So she gets knocked cuckoo and has to go to the weight room. And I said, the good thing about that, I wasn't chewing her out for anything. I didn't have to worry about apologizing. So she went to the emergency room. Like I said, I guess we need to start issuing our managers equipment as well. But Kinsey, very big asset to the team, as our managers are, and we'll certainly miss her next year. However, we've got her predecessor, who she taught well again this year, number 22, Jessie Roth. Jess was Kinsey's apprentice. She learned a trade and told me today she's already looking forward to next year. Jessie's claim to fame was she's probably was our fastest manager. When I say fastest manager, you're probably wondering, well, how does he know she's the fastest manager? Well, there's this little thing that I do with our managers. We've been doing it for several years, and we call it's our Wednesday Chase the Managers. It's kind of a treat or something to get the guys to run. Yeah, I guess you can only do this with girl managers, and what we do is we'll line the girl managers up in about, we start out usually about the 40 or 45 yard line. We'll put the managers on there. They'll line all the players on the goal line. I blow the whistle, and they try and catch the managers, run to the other end of the football field. As an added inspiration to win that week, I tell them, okay, guys, we win this week. They move back 5. So anyhow, they got getting pretty well close to getting caught by the time New Matter did things for us this year. But Jessie's, like I said, claim for fame. Coach Weiler, I think, is trying to get her to be one of his receivers next year with the speed she's got. Kinsey was pretty well always able to elude him too, but Nicole and Brittany, those two poor girls, I tell you what, they were scared to death every day we had that. That's all they talk about that day, trying to get out of it. And of course, I'd always forewarn the guys. I'd go down and make sure they weren't cheating and creeping up to the 5 yard line or whatever, but I always told the guys, I said, guys, if you catch them, you better make sure you do not hurt them. But the girls never knew that, and it was always a fun thing on Wednesdays. So anyway, these were the linemen along with our managers. Now, I did not forget anyone, or as coaches didn't forget anyone, did we? Guys, that's the bulk of it, okay. Okay, guys, go ahead and sit down then. Okay, we'll be calling a few more of the guys up here. We've got our postseason awards. If I can find what I did with those papers. I got them up here. Okay, these are some awards. Like I said, we mentioned several of the kids as far as being all conference first, second, or honorable mention, or all region, etc. Those things are usually right now voted on by the coaches themselves. Beginning, I think, tomorrow, the media will meet down in Cape, I believe, to vote on the media all-region team, and certainly feel that our kids will come out of that with some, again, postseason honors. And we've got the media all-state teams and the Coaches Association all-state teams coming up after the Show Me Bowl. So, I'm really hoping that some of our kids will make those too. But the awards I'm about to announce right now are voted on by the players themselves, and I certainly think that the kids need to hold these in high esteem as well, because it's their peers voting on them. So, Coach Ryder will hand these out for me. You guys just come up and get them from him. First off, the kids voted as the outstanding lineman for 2008 season, Michael Rhodes. As the outstanding defensive lineman of 2008, Jake Geck. For outstanding back, we had a tie, and I wasn't going to try and break it with a flip of a coin or any other reason, for the simple fact I think both these kids really deserved it. Dustin Knoll and Corey Hook. Outstanding defensive back, Tommy Bach. Outstanding linebacker, Jeremy Baith. Outstanding special teams, Travis Martin. Most improved player, James Lawson. The Hustle Award, Clayton Cox. Now the most valuable players of the year. First off, the most valuable lineman, Michael Rhodes. And the most valuable back of 2008, Corey Faulkner. Congratulations, guys. You can go ahead and sit down.
We got gifts for you guys.
Okay, Faulkner says they had gift for us, so you gotta wait till we're done first, Faulkner. Corey's trying to protect his hand. I shook it a while ago and forgot about his little boo-boo he received in the last game. Added to it maybe. I guess I need to apologize to you for that. You won't forget about it. I don't like hurting our kids. I yell at them and stuff a lot of times. They know that I love them to death anyways, no matter how much I yell them at times. Let's see. Seniors, before you guys take off, we've got some nice keychains made for you guys. Don't leave without those. Kinsel's got some very nice collages up here that she made. I'm very impressed. She wants to give those to you before you leave. Award winners, you guys who received the team awards, once you guys meet back there underneath the clock, the media would like to take photos of you along with the two two young ladies, the recipients of the cheerleader awards. Something else we have here is a 50-50 drawing. If you want to get your tickets out. Not to keep on harping, guys, about getting in the weight room, but I'm not going to go on. I think Coach Wilder did a very good job of telling like it is. If we want to remain one of the best programs in the state, it's not by an act of God or something that just comes out of a hat like a rabbit or whatever. The guys before you to deserve this distinction of being one of the best Class 3 football programs in the state comes with a lot of sweat and hard work. And if you want to get better and continue to play in the postseason and eventually get back to the dome, well then you guys need to dedicate yourselves and get in the weight room. I've seen a lot of spindly, skinny, roly-poly, tall and gangly players develop themselves in my tenure here, and if some of those guys could do it, well then certainly you guys can too. So I'm expecting to see a bunch of you guys in the weight room. If you're wrestling or playing basketball, that's great. Like I always tell the kids, take advantage of this. You've got 4 years in your life to do these things, but if you're not going to play one or the other of those things, well then if you want to continue to be, noted as when somebody mentions St. Genevieve, that you play football for them, and they automatically say, yeah, you guys got a heck of a good program and a good team there. So if you want that to continue, then you guys need to dedicate. Now, on with something very important as well. Greenbacks, we've got 93 pictures of George Washington up here. For the person who has a lucky number of 537-580. Oh, okay, come on up and get it. 537-580. You must not play bingo much, do you?
No.
Here's a winning number.
I Thank you.
Okay, I guess you want the cash too, right?
Sure.
There you go. Congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. Well, guys, these people, the folks who want to go, they've got something that they want to do. They said they'd be right back. Okay, seniors have some presentations I believe they want to make.
All right, that one's yours, and this is everybody's.
That's everybody's. Is something to eat?
No.
Something I have to share?
No.
I don't have to share.
No.
Okay.
We're gonna say
Whose is
something
that?
about it, too. That's yours.
Okay, go. So, very quickly.
We just wanted to thank the coaches and everyone's for their support. So, what? We're not supposed to open them yet.
We're not?
Don't open them yet. don't open them yet. All right, we want to thank all the coaches for making the 4 years that we have been able to play football here a time that we're never going to forget, and our parents for providing the meals for us and the support that we have from them throughout our years, the cheerleaders for the pep assemblies and support and all the signs they make in the hallways, and to the assistant coaches for every day being at practice and making us better football players, and what Coach Stolzer always says, being better young men. So we have some gifts for them. So I guess Coach White can go first. Yeah. Well, not all of them. Coach White's freshmen are always so beat up, so we decided to get him a little first aid kit. So next year, if a freshman does get hurt, he will be prepared to, I guess, medicate him during practice. All right, Coach Wise. Coach Weiss blows his whistle pretty girly-ish, so we got him a horn to put on his lanyard. All right, Coach Nix always tells Miss Roth that us football players love these cookies she makes, and I don't think any of us actually ever tasted them. So we decided since she made some, we'd give them to him so he can munch on them. All right, Coach Weiler. Josh Meyer, once he scores in practice, he likes to do touchdown dances, and Coach Weiler's a big fan of him, so we decided to get a photo of all Josh's touchdown dances in a frame for him. You guys will have to come check that out. All right, Coach Stolzer, we got him some wasp spray because after the summers, he likes to hide from the wasp and kick it and jump away like Rhodes said he looked like a little girl one day. So we decided to get him some wasp spray, and then we got him some mouthwash with our team photo on it. It says Saturday morning mouthwash because after some of our games, even if we won, he said we left a bad taste in his mouth. So. And then we got him each a t-shirt, and it has a saying on the back that it seemed like they used to always say. And here's our team gift. This is from the freshmen. This is for the whole coaching staff.
I have to share it.
Yeah, you gotta open it.
I'm sure I have to share it.
Yeah. Coach Stolzer usually has some trouble watching on the VHS, so we decided to get him a DVD camera where he doesn't have to record anything. So he just has to, I guess, take the DVD out and then they can watch it.
That worked good. Thank you very much.
And for the assistant coaches. And we have Kenzie and Jesse, and I guess Ben's not here. And then Logan and Blake need to come up here too.
Oh, that's right.
Kenzie and Jesse need to come up here. You can come up here though and open it for everybody. I will let Jesse go first. We got to the movie Iron Man because her and Dustin are kind of like a couple, I guess. And since he's Iron Man, we thought that you might go watch that. And then I think there's a gift certificate in there too for the real gift. And then Kenzie can go.
Thank you.
We got her a hard hat just in case she ever plans on being a manager in college or anything. And, watch out. Hi, Blake and Logan. They were our water boys this year, and they helped us out a lot. At every time out, they made sure everyone had water. So we got them shirts that say 12th man on the back. So it's kind of like they were out there with us, even though they weren't. And we got one for them too. All right, that's it.
Okay, thanks, guys. I really appreciate that. Just Stevie, okay, the freshman, give me a picture of some nice photos or whatever. We ended up dressing due to injuries. We brought 3 of the freshmen, kept them around. Logan and Blake, I apologize to you guys. You were on my list. I just kind of overlooked it. Our 2 water boys, very important when we get a timeout, especially in the early part of the season.